Hey there, my name is Matthew Peterson. I'm a trainer at Pragmatic Works, and one of the programs I train on is Power Apps. And at some point during the session, we always cover how to delete records, because Power Apps you can create, edit, delete, and just read them. And the delete functionality is great, but I'm almost guaranteed to get the question of, Matt, what can I do to safeguard against that delete? I want to give my users the ability to delete, but that button is really easy to touch, and what if they accidentally hit it with their thumb or mouse click on it? What can we do? And there's a few different ways you can approach this situation. And I've done 2 videos on this so far. If you take a look in the description, you can see the links to them. But one of those is to provide a pop-up screen to where when they hit the button, it doesn't delete. We actually have new objects show up on the screen and something like a prompt of, do you really want to delete? And then they click a button or an icon for yes, delete, and it's gone, or no, and the pop-up screen disappears and they're back at the original view. The second way that I've done is using the patch function, where when they hit delete, it actually did delete the record, but then we store the record in a separate table. And that's fine too, fairly easy to do. And then the third kind of more sophisticated route of rather than just making a backup of that record in a new table is to keep it in your current table, but have one of your column values change, like a flag column. Or in my instance, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it the record status. And we're going to change the record status from active to archived. And then you might be saying, well, how's my end user still going to know how that it was like deleted, so to speak, if they're still going to see it? Well, then we're going to use the filter command on our gallery so that we only allow our users to see active records. So it'll look like they deleted it, but they really didn't whatsoever. So let's take a look at how we can get this accomplished, and maybe this is something you can use within your solution. So this is my SharePoint site that I have. I've been using in quite a few of our videos. I just have the name of a person, their favorite color, the date, cat or dog person number, who it's assigned to, and then a record status. And so I have some of these as active and some as archived currently. Now take note here, this record status is a choice column. So that's how I have it set up in here, because I wanted to give you the most complex way of how this would have to be done. If this was just a regular text column where you typed in active or you typed in archived, this would be a little bit of an easier process with this patch command. But normally that's not how these kinds of columns are going to be set up, because you don't want to make it willy-nilly where everyone can kind of put in whatever they want to here. So let's go over and take a look at the application itself, and let's see this fix. So here's the current gallery right now. So if we go into play mode, I have the name, color, cat or dog, and status, and I have this little trash icon that we're going to be using for delete. So what I want to do is I want when somebody actually clicks on this icon, I want it to not really delete, but I want to change that active over into archived. And how can we accomplish this? So what we're going to come up to do is we're going to go to the onSelect property here of our icon. And we're going to use our patch command. And so we're going to start off with just patch. And patch says the first thing you need to give it is the data source. And so I have this aptly named my SharePoint list called patch records. So we're going to put this in our patch records. And then the next thing, we hit the comma. It says what record. Now, if I were to use the function defaults, which is what I used in the backup where you delete it from one table, but you then put a new record in the second table, I used the defaults because I actually wanted to create a brand new record. But when you want to update a record, you have to give it the record that you want updated. And because I'm in a gallery, this makes it really simple. I can just use the function this item, because this item is a record, and it'll know exactly what record because we're in the gallery, which has our row identifiers here. Now what we're going to move to is we're going to hit our comma, and now we move to what the update is. And when you do an update, the very first thing you do is you start off with curly braces. And after the curly braces, this now allows you to pick any column that you want to do an update to. And so for ours, we're trying to do the record status. So we're going to come on over and hit the record status. Now, normally at this point, you would just put in the new value that you wanted. So for example, active, I want it changed over to archived. We would type that in and put it around, and then we would close it off. However, we're getting error messages here. And why this is because of the actual column then in question. As I showed you earlier, record status was a choice column. So when it's a choice column, it's actually expecting a record value to be returned, not a text value, because if it's wrapped in strings, that means it's our text value, that it could be anything we want it to. But this is a choice column, and we're only limited to 2 options here. So because they're saying that we are expecting a record to be returned, we can use a little bit of thinking here. And we just talked about how when we're trying to create a record, we actually use curly braces. So we're actually going to come here and use another set of curly braces. It's kind of like you're putting a record within a record because it's that choice column. So again, let's take a look at what we can do. So I'm going to come over, get rid of that. And now because it's expecting a record, I'm going to put in our curly braces. And now choice columns, the way the records are, they're stored as values. So we're going to give it value. That is basically like the back end column name that we have. And now I can actually type in what I want that value to be. Now I can go with my double quotes and say archived. And then we'll close that off with a curly brace, close it off with another curly brace because that gets rid of the first one, and finally our parentheses. And it likes it. Let's see if this actually works. So we're going to come over here, hit our play button. We'll take Florence at the top. We're going to turn her from active, hopefully to archived. And we let it do its magic, and boom, perfect. It worked. Excellent. So again, we didn't really delete the record. We just turned the status from active to archived. However, now we have to plan for our end user. We don't really want to take up all of this space. I would never put this in the real gallery, most likely. What I would do is I would get rid of this text label that says the status, and I would just filter this gallery down based on only seeing active records. So that way when the person hits the delete button, they think they deleted it, but we know in the background we actually have kept that record and just changed the value. So let's see how we can do a filter on this gallery. So I've got the whole gallery selected here, and we're going to go to the items property for the gallery itself. So we're going to come on down, take our items, which is currently all of the patch records. And now we're just going to put a filter command in front. So we're going to say, let's take this gallery and we're going to filter it. So what's the source? The source is patch records. And then we say the test. What column are we looking for a match on of a certain value? So I want to go back to that record status. There it is. So record status. And I only want to return the rows of data if the record status is equal to active. But again, here's where we get back into the scenario of that special record status column. Because it is a choice column, I can't just start off with record status because it's an actual record in the background. So we're going to go record status dot value, and that's only because it is a choice column. Same thing would be if like you were using people pickers, etc. So we're going to go record status dot value is equal to active. And then we'll close that off with the parentheses. And if all is right in the world, we'll come back over. And now we only see the actives. All the archived ones are no longer showing up in this gallery. So this is another way of how you can do a delete. But did we really delete? We didn't, but our user sure thinks we did. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, comment below. Let me know what you want to see. Also, if you're interested in any formal training, take a look below in the description for a 20% off coupon for any of our on-demand learning training here at Pragmatic Works, or for any in-live training as well.